Hello everybody, this is a very quick correction about my not buying a car. Earlier today, over the last little while, I've been telling a few of you that I was determined to buy a car and I was excited about it. And it all started when I've been feeling so fabulously well to the miraculous improvement of my health about a month ago. And if you watched my past videos, you'll know that that was truly miraculous and something from God, and everything about me is feeling good. So I got this, Julie said, I told Julie I'd buy her a new car. So I went off to research cars and long story short, I got excited about the BYD and tried to convince her to get an all electric, and she wouldn't buy that. But by the time I got to that point, I thought, well, gee, I wouldn't mind a BYD, and I'm feeling pretty good. Everything about me is working better. Why couldn't I get a car? I could drive to the Gold Coast. I could drive up to the Sunshine Coast. Just on my good days, not after dialysis, but I got 4 good days a week. Yeah, I'm going to go and get a car. I'm back. Yes, I got very excited. So off I went. Did a lot of research, and when I said research for Julie, I'm into AI. I did a huge amount of research on AI, so quick. And she turned that down. But then I turned it back on myself and AI'd it and da-da-da-da-da. Long story short, after much thinking and talking, what came out really good was the BYD C-Line 6. So I booked a test drive to that, which I did today. And then I thought, yep, that's very good. And then in the process, a couple of people, including my great mate, John Redmond, said, have you thought about the Volvo? Oh yeah, well, okay, I'll add that to the list. I didn't include that, and I loved Volvo. So I thought, I got a short list of a few. So I said, I might test drive that as well for the fun of it. It didn't come up in my short list with AI. So long story, I'll make this quick. So I go out today and I do the test drive with BYD, and it was really good. A few things I didn't like about it, the one big deal breaker was it doesn't have a spare tyre, or none of them have run flats. So if you get a flat tyre, there's a puncture kit in the glove box. That's it. Now, okay, you're out on a dark night, and seriously, what a stupid thing. That did it for me. I didn't also like the seats weren't comfortable, but what lost it for me, what was this puncture kit. I just couldn't believe it. Run flat tyres have got their problems. The last one of my X3, I got one puncture, cost me $3,500 to replace all the tyres. That's stupid. So look, no, I'm not happy. So then I walked over around the corner to Volvo and talked to the guy. And also on that one, I said the other criteria is I want the car within a couple of weeks, and they promised 4 to 6 weeks. Julie's getting hers in 4 to 6 months. Nah, I can't do that. So I go to Volvo and walk in the door and say, look, the first thing I want is I want to buy a car that I can walk out with today, or okay, tomorrow will be okay. And it's got to be white. It's got to have no sunroof. I want it to be hybrid, because that's the cruisy thing. And I also want to have one with the front seats, massage seats, because my good mate Al just bought a Volvo, and I had about 15 seconds in his passenger seat trying his massage seat, and I said I want one, and I've got a legitimate reason, because I've got to get a sore back, and so I can justify it. And also, it's probably got the best seating configurations of any of the cars. So I said, I want that. Okay. So after a little while, the guy does the search and said, well, we've got what we can meet your criteria. We can get it for you next week. All those things. And I said, right, I'm going to buy it right now. So I said, I'll put down the $2,000 needed and write the contract. And then I thought. And this is all in about half an hour. I said, well, this has happened very quickly. I said, look, I'm very impulsive. I started telling him about me. I said, I think whenever I'm going to stop myself, I'm going to sleep on it overnight, which I rarely do, but I've learned that I should do when I get impulsive like this. And so, but look, and I said, the other thing we haven't done a test drive. Oh, right, he didn't think of that either. So he gives me a test drive. So I jump in this beautiful Volvo. I said, this is the car I want, but the one that I want is coming in by shipment with the massage seat and all white. And but he said, in all other respects, it'll be the same. So off I go. He said, I'll program in a little test drive for you, which is good because normally you don't know where to go. So off I go, and I love that. And I'm getting out. Anyway, on the way out he's heading me out towards Brisbane Airport on the freeway. And halfway there, my phone rings, and it's a WhatsApp call from my wonderful mates Christina and Terry from Thailand. And it's ringing, the phone's ringing, and I knew I wasn't going to touch it while I was driving, and there was nowhere to pull over. So I said, I'm going to let it go. And then kept driving. It rang again. Oh, geez. Well, they're in Thailand, and I know they have difficulty getting high Wi-Fi, so I'm going to find a place to pull over. So I found the worst possible place to pull over on that road, on the CBD going onto Corro Drive near the hotel, where you see the river. There's a little left turn there, and it's a terrible turn. And I said, I've got to take. I took this, got off it, and it's a little narrow street. And I said, I'm going to find somewhere to park, and I'll just park, and I'll by which time their call had stopped. I said, I'll ring them back. So I'm trying to find a spot to park, nowhere to park. So I find the most legal of all the illegal parks available right on the corner, and I back into that. And I said, I'm going to call them back. And then I couldn't figure out how to turn the car off. I got it into it wasn't moving, but somehow the engine kept going. I couldn't find the button, so I thought, well, it's not moving. I'll just call them back. And then, so I called them back, had a wonderful conversation, and I said, look, I can't talk long. I'm doing test drive. The motor's still running. I can't figure out how to turn it off. But it's good to know you're alive. And I hope you're happy to know that I'm still alive. And the next time we make these calls, why don't we make it at an appointment? And I'll make sure I'm not doing a test drive at that time. So we got off, and so then I did a U-turn to get back onto the freeway, and I get up to this lane, and you can't. It was one of those roads you can't enter from that direction wholly. So I had to reverse the car up this narrow lane. I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. This is not good. And anyway, I managed to U-turn, get it back, and go around the long way, and get back onto the freeway, and off we go. And so I'm thinking, I'm back okay. In the process, I stopped at quite a few red lights, and the good thing about that, I managed to perfect my meditation and mindfulness, which I'm really working on hard. I'm very good at it. I think I've mastered it, but I'm learning little perfections all the time. And one is that when you come to a red light, hold your body perfectly still and look directly at that red light, and stop thinking and don't do anything. That is a fabulous way to add mindfulness into your day. Anyway, then the green came on and off we went, and it takes me up to Eat Street, and the guy at the dealership said, I programmed it to go to a place, stop, and then turn around and come back. Well, he did that. Well, I go to this place to stop, and so I'm following. The lady's politely saying, yeah, turn up left, turn here, and we'll go around here. You know, and we're just talking about meters now. I mean, we're virtually there, and I'm thinking, well, I think we're there. Go further, turn left. And so I drive a little further and turn slightly left. She's still not happy. So I'm thinking, how do I trigger it to her to let me go back? And then I backed up, and I was starting to get a little bit worried that this is not good. Little minor bit of stress. That's the first clue, and then then I was backing up carefully. And one thing you don't want to do on a test drive of a brand new car is have to go backwards and forwards and do reverse turns, because you're not real good at it. And I was getting a bit stressed. I could feel the stress coming. I really thought, this is not gonna. And then she wouldn't let me, because I had to terminate getting there and then let her say, okay, we're going back now, and just follow my instructions. But I couldn't get to that point where she would start to say, right, we're going home now. So I was getting very stressed because I could not get back from there to the dealership in the middle of this busy valley. I just couldn't do it without I could have used my iPhone, but I thought, no, I want to have the big screen with the directions. I don't want to be looking down at the seat. So I told the guy I'd be back in 20 minutes, and he's thinking, because I was already overdue because of the delay for the WhatsApp call. He's thinking I've run into a bus. He's about to send the police out to find me. I was starting to get worried. And I don't like being late. So when late's an option, I get stressed. So the more this woman and I on the voice, the more I backed up. I'm sure I got the impression that the tone of her voice seemed to be getting annoyed. I mean, I might have been imagining that, but I reckon she was getting annoyed with me because we were going back and forth and back. I couldn't just go 1 meter forward and back. And so I said, look, I thought, she's getting annoyed, I'm getting stressed, I'm just going to turn her off. So I turned her off, and then I thought, well, now I'm really stuffed. I don't know how to get out of here. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And then I thought, well, I could try to activate my own directions on the GPS to get me back. And I looked at the screen, and there was a microphone, and I hit the microphone, and I said, BYD, take me back to base station. And then I realised I was in a Volvo. So nothing happened. So luckily I realised that. So I said, okay, all right. I pressed it again and said, Volvo, take me back to the Volvo agency in the middle of Brisbane. And up came the directions. I immediately felt that I'd been saved. And so she said, just start back out going. So off we went. But as I was proceeding to calmly drive and follow the directions, and I knew that I was now safe. I had a guidance system that I could trust, and it would take me back, and I could carefully drive. I felt this heat, this slow heat coming over my arms and my face. Now that's what happens when my virus starts to flare up. And I thought, what's just happened? I've had 2 stresses. The WhatsApp call, and that was stressful, and getting out of that. And then this one was an additional stress, and this has triggered the virus. And guys, you know what that means. When the virus starts, first time it was 6 weeks in hospital, encephalitis. The second time I was onto it faster with taking the antivirals, and that was only a week ago, and I managed to stop it, and they still admitted me to hospital, but I've told you the story on my previous videos. If you watched them, if you haven't, well, you should have. I did this deep meditation and made a decision not to go to palliative care. This is about a month ago. And in the process, my life, by the decision to live, has transformed my life, and it's been wonderful. Now, go figure. I think it's a God miracle, and I'm sticking with that. So here we are now. This is the 3rd time. And I'm thinking, oh shit, here it goes again. So I just used all my intense meditative skills of breathing and calming. And I was driving. I've got to get this car back. I'm starting to feel that there's something coming on. I've got to get this car back to the dealership. And so I just used all my calming skills, breathing. I didn't close my eyes. I didn't think that'd be a good idea driving, but I did take these deep breaths and just got all thoughts out of my mind, and used the incredible ability that I've now got to bring myself out of even minor stress, to calm myself down. My body was still buzzing. My arms and my head and my face were heating up. And exactly what happens when the virus breaks out. and I'm just driving along there, and long story short, I get back to the dealer, park the car in the narrowest T-section lane with 5 other cars trying to get through the same narrow gap. I don't know how I got through that. It was horrendous. But I got it in and parked it, turned it off, stepped out of the car and said, you know what? I'm not going to buy another car. It took that touch. I'm not going to buy another car. I can't handle the stress. I mean, even though I feel fabulous, driving a car, there's constant little stresses and my body can't handle them. So thank God I reached the decision not to buy another car. So I thought I wanted to tell you that. It's off the agenda. I've decided that, I got this guy down to a fabulous deal, and that's the terrible part. I mean, this great deal. I picked the perfect car for me. It had everything I want on super special, discounted 5 times to 84,000 with everything I wanted, available next week, and I'm walking away from it. But I'm going to walk away from it. The car's too dangerous for me, too dangerous. And so then I, walked out of the showroom, and then I realised, that if I want to go down to the Gold Coast, and I probably would do that once a month, and that's all I would have done with this car, and maybe up to the Sunshine Coast to see Peter, and Toowoomba, a few trips like that. It would be, to go down to the Gold Coast by Uber is about $130, I think, in a luxury car. Well, for $84,000, you can buy a bloody lot of Uber trips to the Gold Coast. And you're sitting in the back, and that's in their luxury Uber. And I think, what was I thinking? And I was thinking that, it's joyful to have a car. It was the joy of a new car, to play with a new toy and exercise, all that sucked me in. But no. So look, it was a lucky save of my life. And I'm going to thank God for that, because those 2 events, if they hadn't happened, I would have put down, I would have signed the contract to $84,000, which I could afford to lose, but I'd be pissed off because the car would have, having had that learning that I've now explained to you, would have sat in the garage and done nothing, because I wouldn't have been willing to drive it. I'm not a safe driver. So I thought you'd like to know that, and it's been an interesting couple of days having a journey through buying car land, but I'm now out of that, and I'm now back to Uber, and my good friends like Perry, who give me a ride up and down the place. So over and out, and so there you go, saved by divine intervention. Hey, over and out.